Hi everybody, and welcome to Running Denver TV. I'm your host Lonnie Summers, and we've got a fantastic show for you today. We're going to be reviewing all the action that took place at Bolder Boulder and previewing a couple of our wonderful events up and coming, including Jodi's Race for Awareness, where I get the chance to talk with Jennifer Manta, the race director, as well as two of her wonderful participants, Amy and Marty. And then in our next segment, Lonnie's Gadgets, will be talking with the founders of Motogo, Motivation on the Run, Dan and Celeste. I think you're going to love this app. It's a wonderful technology. And then we're going to be talking to Brian Remington, a good friend of mine who actually was brought back to life many years ago and is now doing 100-mile events. You're going to love his story of inspiration. And then coming up next, we're at one of Denver's iconic parks. The question is, which one? Welcome back to Running Denver TV. Did you figure out where we're at yet? If not, here it is. We're in Denver's beautiful city park, one of Denver's largest and oldest park. Founded in 1880s and is home to the Denver Zoo, as well as the Nature and Science Museum, as well as some of our beloved events, including Colfax Marathon and Jodi's Race for Awareness that we'll be talking about in a bit. But right now, it's a review preview. We're going to break down the results from Bolder Boulder. The iconic Bolder Boulder was held this Memorial Weekend and featured some amazing results with over 40,000 finishers. In the Citizens Race, Ben Payne of Colorado Springs was the men's overall champion in a time of 30:41. That's a 4:56 pace per mile at altitude. That's incredible. And the female winner in the Citizens Race was Brittany Hutton from Alamosa in 34:32. That's 5:33 pace per mile. Congratulations to them. Some interesting notables as well in the Citizens Race. Libby James, 78. She's part of the Colorado Running Hall of Fame. She was first in her age group and ran at 8:38 pace per mile. That's incredible at 78 years old. She joins a list of 27 times at least being in the top 20 in her age group. Consecutive times. That's amazing. Also in that group is Dave Dooley, 68. He was first in his age group, and he ran at around a 7-minute pace for being 68, and he's been in that group for 29 times of finishing in the top 20 or better in his age division. Incredible. But not only is it to some of our elders, but it is also to some of the young talent, including Alana Zuch. Alana Zuch is just 11 years old. She's from Evergreen and ran 39 minutes flat at 11 years old for a 10K. That's 6:16 pace per mile. Incredible. She's actually was second in Cherry Creek Sneak this year, as well as first at the Colfax 5K. Tyler Schull, 14 years old from Kremling, ran 35:58. He was first in his age group and 140th overall out of 40,000 people. And then Anna Schultz and Maddie Schultz, sisters, and also very well known because their dad and mom are owners of Runner's Roost. Anna Schultz, 13, ran 40:17 at 6:29 pace per mile, was second in her age group, and Maddie, just 9 years old, ran 51:30 and 8:17 pace per mile. That's incredible. Awesome times in our Citizens Race. You can check out more results by going to bolderboulder.com. But the big one of the day, of course, is the elite competition, the team competition. In the men's race, Ethiopia, USA, and Eritrea were all the top 3 finishers. In the women's, it was Ethiopia, USA, and Kenya. At Running Denver TV, we want to make sure we keep you informed of all the wonderful events that are taking place around our community, including Miles for Melanoma coming up on June 28th at Stapleton's Central Park. This event is in its 3rd year. It's really important. First of all, do you realize that because the high altitude in Colorado, we are more susceptible to skin cancer? And there's not a lot of awareness out there about it, although we all know of it. We all know we're supposed to be doing sunscreen. So this is a wonderful event supporting a great organization in the fight against melanoma detection and awareness. But it's a wonderful, fun event. It's at Stapleton Central Park. There's a great playground. They have a lot of fun and entertainment. One of our featured events. Next, our featured event is Jodi's Race for Awareness, taking place on June 6th in our beautiful city park. It's over 3,000 people participating in one of the largest ovarian cancer events in the country. Up next, we're going to be talking with Jennifer Manta from Jodi's Race for Awareness, as well as Amy and Marty, 2 of their great participants, and find out more about why they're participating in this 6th annual event.
Well, the 6th annual race will be Saturday, June 6th here at City Park. The race starts at 8:30 a.m. and it's a 5K run and a 1-mile run walk. And we have a lot going on that day in addition to the run. We have a family fun zone because we have a lot of kids, and we have a furry friend option, so bring your dogs out and they'll get some special goodies. and just a lot going on, a lot of great vendors, and just a wonderful celebration of our survivors and the people that we've lost as well. The race was named after Jodi Brandmeier, who was a Colorado native. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer when she was only 41. She was completely blindsided by her diagnosis and wanted to do something to raise awareness. And she felt like a 5K run was a really good way to reach the greatest number of people. So she pulled me in to help her out, and the first race was in 2010. And Jodi was so determined. She was married with a daughter, full-time job, and fighting ovarian cancer, but she was still determined to get this race off the ground and let people know that there are symptoms of ovarian cancer, and if you're aware of them and you go see your doctor early on, that there's hope. And so the first race, she was here. It was amazing. It was just such a wonderful celebration. We had over 1,000 people, and sadly we lost Jodi a couple of months later, but it's just so great that her legacy lives on, and the race has now grown to over 3,000 people. And again, it's just such a wonderful celebration of her and all of the people that are affected by ovarian cancer. Jodi was determined she was going to have at least 1,000 people the first year, and everybody said, Jodi, there's a lot going on in Denver. There are a lot of races. Just understand that if you only have a few hundred, that's okay. The race will grow over time. And she just was determined. There are going to be 1,000 people, and I just know it. And we had, the official count was, I believe, 1,746. So she even blew away her own goal. And it has just continued to grow, and we expect to have well over 3,000 people this year. Nana Zeligman was on the Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance, or COCA, board, and so she was there when Jodi first came to COCA with this idea to do the 5K run. And Nana was very excited about it. At the time, she was, I believe, a 5-year survivor, and she wanted to do something to create awareness, because they call it the silent killer, but it's not really silent. There are symptoms, and that's what Jodi wanted to convey, and that's what Nana was also excited about, letting people know that there are symptoms like bloating or feeling full quickly and not being able to eat much, feeling pelvic or abdominal pain or discomfort, and also frequent or urgent need to urinate. So there are symptoms out there, and if you have them and you go see your doctor, there are things that they can do to, discover it and start treatment right away. So that's really, what the whole race kind of started on, was based on that whole, awareness piece. Let's let people know about this and be proactive about your health, and see a doctor if you have these symptoms, because, they are very vague. They can easily be misdiagnosed. But the survival rate for women who are diagnosed stage 1 or 2 is over 90%. But unfortunately, only about a quarter of the women are diagnosed early on. So Nana has been here every year, except she won't be here this year. We lost her in September, but she was just, tenacious. She was a fighter. She had a team out here every year. She has a daughter who's an avid runner, and I know Katina will be here, and I know Nana will be here in spirit. She'll be up there with Jodi cheering us on. But that's the sad thing about this disease. Unfortunately, we lose a lot of amazing women. But the great thing about the race is it's really not a sad day. It's a day to celebrate, and that's what makes it just, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of excitement, and a coming together of people that have just, had to deal with this, horrible, horrible disease. There is no accurate screening test, so that's why people need to know the Pap smear does not detect ovarian cancer. That's for cervical cancer. So if you feel like you're safe because you just had your Pap smear, that's really not going to help you. You need to have a pelvic exam. You hear about the CA-125 blood test, which by itself is not terribly accurate. You could break your arm and your CA-125 would go up. So it's kind of a combination of knowing your body, talking to your doctor if there are any changes that last more than a couple weeks. If you wake up one day and you feel kind of bloated, don't panic. It's probably just as a monthly thing, but it is diagnosed a lot because those symptoms are vague, and sometimes they think it's a GI problem or menopause or whatever. So it's just key to be proactive about your health. Go in. If you feel like something's wrong, get that pelvic exam, get that CA 125, and they can do a transvaginal ultrasound, and then they can tell whether they need to take the next step. So there are things that can be done. And if you feel like something's wrong, it's just critical to see your doctor and be your own best advocate. Well, we had actually the first year, Jodi's daughter's teacher came and she brought her mom along to support Jodi and Megan in the race. And we have symptom signs on the course, and they have the 4 main symptoms. There are others, but the 4 main symptoms. And she saw those symptom signs, and a couple of months later she actually started having some, and she thought, well, maybe I'm just paranoid, but I can't get those signs out of my head, and I'm going to go see my doctor. And sure enough, she actually had ovarian cancer, which was, crazy, but she did, and she was diagnosed, and she lasted 4 years. Unfortunately, we just lost her. It's been kind of a tough year, but because she lasted 4 years, she got to meet her grandchildren. Her daughter, Lindsay, had 2 sweet little twin daughters, and she got to spend 2 years with them. So while, it's still a sad ending, there's just, we take what we can get, and, 2 years can make a huge difference. And it's just critical. Hopefully we'll reach more women even earlier, and it won't be another 2 years or another 4 years. It will be a lifetime. What we do for survivors is we have a wonderful survivor breakfast to honor them, and they get a strand of beads for every year that they're a survivor. So it's really great, because if you have only 1 strand but you see someone with 20 strands, then it gives you hope. Or if you have 5 and you see someone else with 5, you can kind of, chat about that. So we've done that since almost the very beginning, and it's just a wonderful way for the survivors to, start up a conversation. And we always try to do something new and different, not just for survivors, but for all of our participants. So this year, all of our finishers will get a little teal egg, like a plastic break-apart egg, like an Easter egg, and each one will have an awareness message in it, but it will also have a prize. So they could get something as small as, like a little piece of jewelry that fits in the egg, or they could get movie tickets or dinner on the town or a night at the Sheraton or whatever. So it's really kind of a fun new twist, and we're always trying to add something fun for our participants. So go to jodisrace.org and you can register, you can sign up to volunteer, you can donate, you can set up a team. It's not too late. So just come out and enjoy the day.
Yeah.
I'm Marty Brierly, and I'm here to support Jodi's race in honor of my mother, Marion. My sister and I are involved because our mother passed away from ovarian cancer almost 4 years ago. Initially, she was diagnosed with a urinary tract infection, or a UTI, bladder infection, and was put on antibiotics for that several times. And it was persistent and it wouldn't go away. And so her doctor ended up sending her to an oncologist that specializes in ovarian cancer, and that's how it was diagnosed, and she was in stage 3 at that point. It was really difficult because she lived at that point in Arizona, and we were up here in Denver. And so you want to be with her to comfort her, and we were far away, and so it was basically just phone support at that point. But she was very positive. That was her life. She didn't like drama. She was very positive and energetic and fun, and really thought that she could fight this. And so we supported her in that, and just told her to persevere and get through it. And she did 2 rounds of chemotherapy and a round of radiation. And at one point they thought she was in remission, and then it came back. So that was devastating. It can be treatable if it's caught early. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do to prevent it. But if it's caught early and you do your due diligence with seeing your doctor and checkups, hopefully it's a battle that you can win. throughout her entire ordeal, she was so positive and never really complained. I think she was more worried about us than she was about herself. So just the fact that she was so selfless motivated us and kept our spirit positive as we could be. She was not just my mother, she was probably one of my best friends. And I already have a built-in best friend with my sister, so to have another person that was actually from my family as my best friend, I felt pretty special and pretty lucky. She was probably one of the most loved friend and relative that I've ever known. And I think that if you talk to any of her friends or family, they would all say that exact same thing. She lived life to the fullest up until probably she couldn't. And I think that's one of the reasons why she chose not to go through the third round of therapy, chemotherapy, was because she didn't want us to remember her in a negative light. She wanted us to remember her as being a fun, loving, caring, giving, selfless person and mom and friend, and she was all of that. This will be our 4th year, and we have about 30 people. So we started with 3 and now we have 30. And this year we're doing husbands and pets and kids, and we're bringing the whole gang down, so we're excited. It's such a great event, and it really does bring much needed awareness to ovarian cancer. It's kind of like a taboo topic, if you will. Cancer is devastating enough, and ovarian cancer affects everybody, even guys. I mean, obviously we all came from mothers, so it's definitely, we need to get more awareness out there. So the more people that can participate and become aware of the fight and the symptoms, it can only help. I think she would be very proud. I think she would be ecstatic that we were doing something to remember her legacy and her fight. I think she would be very, very proud.
Wow, what an inspiration to have those wonderful women involved with Jodi's Race for Awareness. I hope you'll be joining us on June 6th. Right now we're standing around City Park, and I'm here next to a cannon. Believe it or not, this is from 1864. It's from the Civil War. I've never actually spent a lot of time going around City Park. There's all these wonderful statues. We got the Martin Luther King statue. There's another statue behind me, and a lot of amazing history, so I encourage you to please come check it out. Next, we're going to talk with Dan and Celeste from Motogo, part of our Lonnie's Gadget segment.
Ready? I'm Dan.
And I'm Celeste.
And we're the founders of Motogo. So last year I was running my second ever marathon, and it was in Arizona, and Celeste had stayed behind. It was just one of those days. It was really a tough run. And along the way, I hit a wall somewhere maybe around mile 14. I started to look around and realize so many people were running with earbuds and smartphones that maybe there was just a better way to have a better experience and kind of stay connected to the people who are caring about my well-being.
Motogo is an app that allows you to pre-record messages that your friends and family leave you that will play during your race. So it works with any race, and you can create your own experience for any race. That's what's awesome about Motogo.
I know personally I hated the idea of live tracking, where if my friends or family were running on the East Coast, I'd have to get up at 4 a.m. to see how they're doing on the course for a race that starts at 6. And so the beauty of Motogo is that well in advance of the race, the messages can be pre-recorded, and you basically invite your friends and family to pick mile markers along the way. They record those messages for those mile markers, and then when you get out there on race day, they're still in bed sleeping. Those messages automatically play at the different points along the course.
So let me walk you through the app. It's really easy to use. So if you're the runner, there's a race button. You just select your event, scroll through, and they're all in order by date. If the event is not there, you can request the event from our app directly, and it'll pre-populate a message to us, and we'll get the race in there within 24 hours. Then you can register for it. Once you register for it, it'll ask you if you can to share the event, and that's where the magic happens, because you're asking your friends and family that you want to hear from on this important day to cheer you on. So you can share it through Facebook, through text message, through email. It's very simple.
So for cheering, again, the recipient will find your event, they'll select the distance at which they want to leave you a message, and every race course is different, so we've set them all up to be somewhat different and unique. That user will go in, find the appropriate point on the course, they'll talk into their phone, or they can record a message through our website and hit send. It's really that simple. Then on race day, what happens is the runner gets out there, starts their event, hits start, their music starts playing, and as they run, their music automatically lowers and the messages will play without any disruption. Music automatically resumes and they're on their way.
We have received so much great feedback from users of this app. Runners have told us they've PR'd because they've gotten to, they lose themselves during the run and they just get consumed with the funny messages that they hear. They hear from their kids or from their husbands or wives. We've given goosebumps to people. People have cried. And we've heard from a lot of first-time half marathoners that it made that experience, and that they want to run again and run another race because they're not afraid to do it, because they're not really alone. They have their cheering group right in their ears. So just go to the App Store to download Motogo, and to find out more about our app, you can go to our website, www.getmotogo.com.
Wow, that app is absolutely amazing. So I want you to make sure you go out to Motogo and send your cheers to all your friends and family going to be participating in events. Right now, we're going to talk to Brian Remington, a really good friend of mine who has an amazing story. You got to get this. He's also an ambassador to Bonfils Blood Center because over 20 units saved his life when he was in his accident. We'll check out more from Brian right now.
My name is Brian Remington. I want to let you know we can overcome any obstacle in life, and anything you want to achieve is possible. It was 2002. I'd just come off drugs and alcohol, a divorce, and kind of feeling sorry for myself. Went to a bar one night to look for something that wasn't there. I was sitting there having a beer and I was like, what are you doing? You need to go home, Brian. So feeling sorry for myself, I didn't think anybody in this world cared for me, and I got on my motorcycle. I headed down the highway doing about 120. And I'm just watching the tire eat into the pavement. I was on a course for death, and it's not what I was after, but that's where I was headed. So I went around a couple cars, hit some turbulence, sneezed, and that sent me out of control, flying into the highway wall at about 120 miles an hour. Life changed at that moment for me. My first thought when I was lying in the street was, way to go, you just disappointed everyone you know, which is kind of ironic to the thoughts I had just prior to that. I guess I knew everybody in my life did care for me. So as I'm lying in the street, I'm in a ton of pain. The Good Samaritans that I had passed stopped to help me. I was bleeding profusely. I had ruptured my spleen, lacerated my liver, pancreas, diaphragm, broken my arm completely through in 4 places, tore all the skin off my arm. I was sitting there having an out-of-body experience. I could hear myself screaming, and I would feel no pain. And then all of a sudden, I would feel every amount of pain there was. And that kept happening, and a voice spoke to me and said, Brian, you're going to be all right. You got a lot of hard work ahead of you, but you're going to be okay from here. Rushed me to the hospital. They opened me up. Had like a liter blood clot where my spleen was, 1.5 liters of blood in me. I took over 22 units of blood just to save my life that night. I'd actually died on the table and they had to resuscitate me. So there was a lot of hard work in the hospital, a lot of scary moments, but there was a point in my life to where I knew I had to step to one side or the other of the fence. It's like you can step to the side of feeling sorry for yourself and giving up, or you can step to the side of, I'm going to take control of my life. I'm no longer a victim. And that's the path I chose. My son is an incredible person. At 17 years old, he was given the responsibility of making the choice to save my arm for me. They wanted to amputate my arm at the shoulder. He in no way was going to let the doctors amputate my arm. They told him he'll never use his arm again. His first response was like, yes, he will. You don't know my father. This is a person who believed in me, seen my strength when I didn't know I had any. When I couldn't find strength within myself, my son knew it was there. He was there for me every minute of the way. I was living with him and putting him through college, and after the wreck, he was taking care of me. I'd get real depressed and just stay in the dark room, and I just wanted to hide and bury myself. He came in and kicked the door open one day and said, "Get up, Dad, we're going to the gym." I'm like, nah. Like, we're going to the gym. You're not going to do this to yourself. I've got a cast on. He's got me lifting weights, walking on the treadmill. And one day I seen him do 5 miles on the treadmill. I was like, man, I'd like to be able to do that someday. So I continued to lift weights for a while. And then a friend challenged me to a half marathon. And that's where the running began. That first half marathon, it was so emotional for me afterwards. It was the Georgetown to Idaho Springs half marathon. Went up there by myself, ran it by myself, finished by myself, depended on myself. It's amazing I made the drive home because I was blubbering and I could barely see through the tears on the way home. Overcoming drugs, alcohol abuse, the wreck itself, rebuilding myself, overcoming the victimization that we label ourselves as, knowing I was in control. It was huge, huge. And that's led me to where I am today. I've accomplished 41 half marathons since then, 11 full marathons, 8 ultra marathons, including my first 100-miler in February of this year. No matter how far you get down, how rock bottom you get, you can rise up and achieve great things. I guess it's a kind of a message of hope, not only for myself, but for others. I try and be the book other people can read. I think anybody can do a 100-miler. It's a matter of want. I'm involved with other run groups, superman.org. We like to show other people that anything is possible. You can weigh 400 pounds, lose the weight, achieve fitness, and go out and run 100 miles. I think anybody can do it if they want to do it. And that's it. Want, desire, discipline. You obviously got to do the training because you just can't go out and do it, but you have to make that commitment. Not necessarily to the training, but to yourself. I mean, committing to yourself, committing to not be a victim, committing to overcome obstacles, committing to achieve your goals. Man, it feels so good to be disciplined and achieve something you set out to do. Bowling's your thing, and you've never bowled before, and you want to get a strike in the bowling. Achieving that could be the thing that makes you happy. Running your first 5K, it doesn't even have to be 100 miles. I mean, you like to cycle. Whatever your thing is in life, it's possible to achieve that. Possible. If you're into art, go for it. Go for it. Do it. Put yourself into it. Make yourself happy. Yeah, go do what you want to do in life. And you're right. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to have a life-changing event to do that. You just gotta want to change. Reach down inside yourself, grab your strength, make your changes. You'll be happy for it. I've been through a lot of hard runs, a lot of brutal. It's brutal to try and go out and run 100 miles. The training, the race itself, but the accomplishment. There's nothing sweeter. When I hit the finish line, they give you a buckle and everything, and I didn't care about that. What I cared about was the woman I loved was there for me. And that 100 miles of pain was worth that one moment of love that I received from her when I hit that finish line. And I think that's what a lot of life is about, love. Love is a beautiful thing. And that makes us a lot stronger too. Through my experiences, I've learned there's so many people in my life that love me. Going back to when I was depressed right before my motorcycle accident, I didn't think anybody did. People care for you. People really do care for you.
Wow, that was an incredibly moving story from Brian. Can you really imagine coming from such a horrific accident like that to running 100 milers? We hope you really enjoyed this week's show. If you'd like to be featured on our show or find out more information, you can email us at info@runningdenver.com. Also, be sure to check us out at runningdenver.com for the latest in results, calendars, blogs. We hope to see you next time on Running Denver TV.